It's time for Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network. Tiger Talk, live from the Golden Q in Hayes. The Golden Q, dining, billiards, and a whole lot more. 2 blocks east of campus. The Golden Q. If the game is on, we're open. Tiger Talk is also brought to you by these premier Tiger sponsors. Golden Belt Bank of Hayes and Ellis, banking one story at a time. The Hayes Med Orthopedic Institute, expertise, technology, and compassion, all right here. Adams Brown, strategic allies and CPAs. BTI, your John Deere dealer in Buckland, Great Bend, Greensburg, Hoxie, Ness City, and Pratt. BTI, our family in partnership with your family. The Taco Shop, dine-in, carry-out, or delivery. You've never had it so good. G&L Tire and Automotive, complete automotive service and repair, and tires for all driving needs.
And a good Monday. Welcome into Tiger Talk. Gerard Welbrock, joined by Fort Hays State head football coach Chris Brown. We're live at the Golden Q, so we certainly invite you to come on out. Join us for lunch today, the grilled cheeseburger special. That's the traditional Monday burger of choice, so you want to check that out. Of course, full range of burgers. They've got their burger of the month. Always have great food and drink specials. And if the game's on, they're open. Little Monday night football action tonight. Baseball playoffs throughout the week. The World Series getting underway, so stop on by here at the Golden Q. They're 2 blocks east of campus. If the game's on, they're open. Tigers coming off a win on Saturday in Warrensburg. They knock off the Mules. It was a thriller, but they pulled it out with a touchdown in the final seconds, 21-17. Coach, congratulations. Central's kind of going through a year that you're going through, both expected to be better as far as the standings and the win-loss record, but bottom line, you found a way to win. It wasn't always the prettiest, maybe it wasn't always the best, but as we have found out, it's hard to win football games. It's really hard to do it in the MIAA, so you never apologize for a win, and your guys found a way to get it done.
Yeah, we'll take the dub. You know, it was tough. You know, we came out and got up 14-0, then it seems like once we missed the field goal, it just kind of fell apart from there just a little bit, but you know our guys did find a way there in that last drive to go win that ball game. And you know, the last play of the game, a little scary as well with that Hail Mary, but we got it knocked down. But you know, proud of our kids. You know, it's a tough place to play. It's a great atmosphere. You know, but we did the things we needed to do to win that ball game, and it might not have been pretty all the time, but just the fashion we did it in too, with you know Bucky being out in that last drive, Manny being out in that last drive, and those kids that stepped in for them, you know, getting in there, doing a good job, and making the plays they needed to make to help us win that ball game.
I know it's Monday, and these guys get home late, and you know really don't do much yesterday. You'll have meetings later today. Any word and any update on those two, because obviously they are key elements in that offense.
No, we'll see. I know Manny's with the doctor today just to check some things out and do some, you know, x-rays and things like that just to make sure everything's good. And, you know, Bucky, it's just more of a thigh bruise than anything else. It's just one of those things. It's during the game, it's really tight and you can't get it loose. But he was in the training room yesterday getting ready, and he'll be there again today. And we'll probably just have to monitor him through the week to see what he can do. But I'm sure he'll be back and be ready to go.
Yeah, unfortunately, he kind of took a shot on the thigh, and you even saw Chance a little bit, kind of, you know, the old tap, my fault. He kind of hung some receivers out a little bit. Some of it was, you know, it happens in football, but those two took some big-time shots across the middle. But it's a testament to them because they're not afraid to take that shot across the middle, and you know when they're back, they're going to go back and do it again.
It's football. You know, if you're a receiver, you know you're going to get hit, and might as well catch the ball if you're going to take some type of punishment. I know as a DB, I'd love to punish those receivers, so I mean, don't come across the middle and be ready.
So you don't feel sorry for them, is what you're saying.
No, it's part of the game, and it's just the way it is, and that's the position you chose to play, so enjoy the hits that you're going to take. But you know, there's probably like 3 or 4 on Bucky's leg that he's taking this year, and it's always the same leg and not the
that's
other.
How it works.
So, but you know, he's a tough kid. He was ready to go yesterday. I was talking to him. He goes, "I'll be ready. Don't worry about me, Coach. I'll be ready to play."
Well, and you kind of touched on it. Wilt Fong, got to be so happy for him with everything he's battled through, a scare with cancer, and to get his first career touchdown catch in that situation. That was a great play, and you had some other kids. Stapp, I think, caught a pass in there. The Colby freshman down the stretch because of some of those injuries and needing some players who maybe don't get a play in those situations especially. But for them to step up and make some plays, that's always exciting.
And it's just the kids, being prepared for that moment, right? If you don't prepare for that moment and expect them to get in the game, then you're not ready. And, they were. Will Fong did have a little tip. Balls kind of thrown behind him. They intercept the ball. And as coaches, you get upset with those guys. But, to see him come back and make that last play for us to score that touchdown was huge. And just the excitement on his face. And hopefully that really starts to light the fire and show him that, hey, here I am. I can do these things. And he moves forward and becomes a great, great tight end for us.
Well, and, you won a game like this. You had to come back against Kearney, but and we talked a little bit about it on the program last week. I mean, you look at the MIAA, when you have success, you win the close ones. You find a way to win the game like you had on Saturday. Whether you play well or don't play well or whatever, you're going to get in this league. I mean, you play 11 games, 7 of them are probably going to come down to the last possession or two or 1 or 2 plays. And you look at Northwest, you look at Kearney this year, Washburn this year, they're winning those games. When you've had your conference championship teams or conference contending teams, you've won most of those games. And to win this league, that's what it takes to do that. You have to win those tight ones.
It is. You look at us, we're 4-4 right now, and 28 points, in those 4 losses, and that's only 1 touchdown. And so, it was 18, but then we lost by 10 the last time we lost. But it's a close race every single year. Every team's in, has a chance to win the conference and or at least be second or third in the conference. And it's just a tough league. You got to be ready to play week in and week out. And we just haven't had those bounces, like we had in the past. 17, 18, those were some of the, we could have been easily 7-4, 6-5 in those years. 11-0 season was. I can't believe that's hard to do, but we just weren't getting the bounces that we got. We weren't making the plays that we did back then. But there's a lot of youth on that field right now, and they're getting better each and every week, and you're seeing that improvement each week.
And you see a lot of those youth make plays. Mason Perez, the Larned freshman, got thrust into a starting role because of injuries to Will White and others, and he tipped the ball that you got intercepted. He ran out of real estate, made an unbelievable, which would have been an interception, but he landed out of bounds. Kind of showed his athleticism on that pass on the near sideline in that fourth quarter.
Yeah, he is, and he's made a play in the end zone as well on the kid, and he's really starting to come into his own, and by the time the kid's a junior, he's going to be a phenomenal football player. And there's a lot of those kids, at this right now that are playing that are going to be phenomenal football players. But, it's just youth, when you're young and you got a lot of unexperienced guys on there, but we do have a few guys that do have experience. It's going to hurt you sometimes, but they're starting to grow each week. We still got to realize that they're just freshmen, but we want to play like juniors and seniors, and they're just not quite ready yet, strength-wise, weight-wise, and all those things.
We're live at the Golden Q. It is Tiger Talk, and you can chime in. We've already had some questions submitted, but you can still submit one here during the program. All you have to do is go to FHSUathletics.com, the Fort Hays State Athletic webpage, and click on Fan Zone. You'll see it up on a line of menu items. You'll get a drop-down. There on the very bottom of the drop-down menu, you'll see Tiger Talk Ask the Coach. Submit your question. If we use it, you'll be in the running for a gift certificate from the Golden Q. I think it's a $25 gift certificate they'll be giving away for the questions every week. So chime in with a question. We'll still get to it here on the program, and we'll get to the 3 we've had submitted already a little bit later on in the program. Tiger Talk is brought to you by G&L Tire and Automotive. Tires for all driving conditions and budgets. Excuse me, along with complete automotive service and repair. G&L Tire, just east of 8th and Main. They're on the bricks in downtown Hays. We'll take our first break. More Tiger Talk straight ahead here on the Tiger Sports Network, built by Paul Wertenberger Construction. Fumbles. Wilkerson picks it up in the backfield. The running back looks like he wants to throw. He will throw, and it's tipped in. Intercepted by Starks. The pass was tipped by Mason Perez, and Starks picks it off in front of the Tigers sideline. Fort Hays State, just their second interception interception of the season. A busted play, and the Tigers get the turnover. They'll have it at their own 40-yard line. Yeah, one of the key plays in the first quarter on Saturday. Tigers got one of those to go their way finally, and they go on to beat Central Missouri 21-17. Welcome back to Tiger Talk. We are at the Golden Q, 2 blocks east of campus. If the game's on, they're open. Nice to see Jordan get the pass interception. Tipped by Perez. Kind of a goofy play. The quarterback fumbled. Running back picked it up. And I'm guessing when they did their film study, they probably tell him you should just run the ball and not try to pass it. But you'll take the break. But it was a good job, heady play by both of those guys to get an interception, which has kind of been lacking this year. Just your second pick this late in the year.
Yeah, we're used to more than that. And a lot of that goes to, getting pressure on the quarterback and a little bit tighter in our coverage. And when you're young, you don't want to get beat. You don't want to get beat, so you try to play a little softer, and then also you try to play a little aggressive, and you get beat. So it's just all those things that are coming together, come into play, and as they mature and get better, that those turnovers will come as well. But their running back's thrown a couple of passes all year long, so he probably wasn't. He was just trying to make a play, and I'm glad he tried to make that play for us, and getting our hands on it and getting the interception is a big play for us.
There were a lot of they had a big day offensively, numbers-wise, and passing the ball, and there were a lot of receivers for them open throughout the day with a lot of space.
Yeah, they did a good job of just kind of, sitting that guy deep and putting the guy in front of us, and you kind of get caught in that area of where do I stay on the deep one? They're going to dump to the short one. Do I stay on the short one? They're going to throw into the deep one. And they did a good job of buying the quarterback time and giving him time to throw that deep ball. And there's a couple that were wide open. I mean, they run the corner and safety out and bring them all the way across the field. And that's a tough play to defend. And hopefully we can hit one of those by ourselves. One of these days here soon.
But we've seen a lot of teams try to do that with that drag route, whatever you want to call it, and just it's been a problem. I'm sure it's been a problem for a lot of teams, but it is difficult to defend.
It is, just because there's so many guys in there. You run people out, and then you got one guy sitting there that's got to really defend 2 guys. And, you stay on the deep when they throw the short one. It's still a 10 to 12-yard gain. So it kind of puts you in a bad spot, but that's all about getting pressure on that quarterback and not getting him time to throw that ball. Do
you feel your tackling has improved? Because I know early on that was one area of concern that you weren't thrilled about.
In this game, no. I mean, there was tons and tons of missed tackles, and it was just, taking away an angle, taking the right angle, running our feet and not stopping. We were grabbing instead of, using our shoulder pads and running through guys. And you saw a lot of them. There's a couple plays in there where we have 4 or 5 guys miss, and that's just unacceptable. So we got to do a better job of really running our feet, grabbing jersey, and just not stopping. I mean, the thing is, I feel like we stop our feet once we make contact instead of continue through it, and using our shoulder pads and wrapping up and grabbing jersey. So that's something I'm sure Coach Harris and his staff will be working on this week to make sure that we don't have those problems again.
It felt like, especially some of your younger guys, you'd see that they would get there and either over pursue, and then you're left trying to reach back, grab a jersey, and try to do something. Or in a case, I think it was their first touchdown when Tweehouse scrambled for the second one when he ran for the touchdown. I mean, 2 guys, how he broke out of that dead to rights and somehow broke free from what looked like to be a sure sack and got the touchdown.
Yeah, it is. It's just, you just got to finish the play, and that's all there is to it, and not stopping your feet and just, do they have their eyes closed when they're hitting sometimes? Because sometimes guys do that. They close their eyes and they go in for that contact and seeing the complete hit. And, those are just things. But, again, it's young. It's just, you can't stop your feet. You got to get yourself in good position. You got to grab jersey. We just weren't doing that. We're just kind of slipping off of them.
But it led to some big plays on their behalf and certainly made it a much closer game than I think everybody would have preferred. But the Tigers get the win. We're at the bottom of the hour, so let's go ahead and use this opportunity to pause 10 seconds for station identification. You're listening to Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network, built by Paul Wertenberger Construction.
With a combination of Kaiser Liquor and Fort Hays State Athletics, you're sure to be into something good. Kaiser Liquor and 14 KEYS Hayes.
Gerard Wellbrock, head football coach Chris Brown. We are at the Golden Q. It's Tiger Talk on this Monday, and it's brought to you by the Golden Belt Bank of Hayes and Ellis, here to make every story shine brighter. It's the way they do banking, one story at a time. Check them out at goldenbeltbank.com. And again, we invite you to participate in the program. Send us your question for the coach. We'll get to him a little bit later on in the program. All you have to do is go to FHSUathletics.com, click on the Fan Zone link. It'll give you a drop-down menu. There at the bottom, you'll see the link to hit and send your question. Again, if we use it, you'll be in the running for a free gift certificate, a $25 gift card for food here at the Golden Q if the game's on. They're open. Tigers coming off a win over Central Missouri on Saturday, knocking off the Mules by a final score of 21-17. Had again, a good stretch there in that first quarter. You scored a couple of touchdowns. Waiters hit Budke. Fuller hit Manny Ramsey. You got off and running. Felt like, here we go. And then, as we've seen this year, you mentioned finish. And it seems like your team gets a lead. They kind of have a little bit of a letdown, or, I don't know, goes in cruise control. But finishing tackles, finishing games, finishing whatever has been a bit of an issue.
It is, and that's something, as a coaching staff, we preach and preach and preach, on a daily basis, changing things up in practice to learn how to finish and all these different things, even to start fast, and it comes down to sometimes your kids just gotta do it on their own. You can only do so much for them, but there's got to be this maturity level and leadership to hey, here we are in this situation. We're 14-0 right now. What are we going to do to keep the throttle down and keep this lead and maybe even put up some more points? And we just haven't been able to do it. And I'm just, as a coach, you sit here and try to figure out what else can we do to hopefully keep this thing going. But I don't know, it's just a letdown, or maybe we stop seeing things the way we were seeing them, on the offensive side, or do we have a little let up on the O-line, or whatever it might be. But a couple big plays, hurt us as well that we can't allow. But I don't know. We're trying to figure that out. I'm talking with the kids as much as we possibly can about what can we do differently to make sure that this doesn't happen. But ultimately it comes down to them and their decisions and how hard they continue to play.
Well, you got the pick. You gave you a touchdown. You get a stop. Yeah, I think you forced a 3-and-out. Got the ball back. Got another touchdown. Then you forced them to punt. Got a big sack from John Johnson, and then you missed the 44. I think it was a 44-yard field goal try. And as you said, that kind of took the momentum out, and for whatever reason, just came out slow in that second half. But for those 3 drives, I mean, you had to be thrilled. You got 2 touchdowns and were in a position to get at least 3 more. And boy, how much different a 17-0 feel at halftime than 14-0.
It would have been amazing, just being in that situation and knowing what they're going to have to do when they come out. Because we did a pretty decent job of stopping their run game and trying to make them one-dimensional. But it's just, when you look at these possessions, there haven't been a lot of possessions, in these games. I mean, they've just been long, drawn out. I mean, what do we have, 4 possessions in the first half, or maybe 3, and that's really it. And we're used to having 6, in these games, and we really haven't been getting those. And teams are doing a good job of keeping our offense off the field. And defensively, we just got to get some stops so we can get our offense back out there.
Well, and there's more pressure when you have those possessions, and some of that, I mean, you talk about the turnovers. You don't create as many. That's less chances to gain more. They had 2 17-play drives, but I thought that was key. 2 drives, back-to-back, late in the first half, and then their first possession in the second half. They both go 17 plays, but they only get 7 points. That goal line stand was huge.
That was big. I mean, that was a tremendous play, and we needed that. You go into half 14-7. It's a whole different ball game again. Now they're not playing catch up, and that was a big play. And glad the officials got it right, with the fumble, because sometimes you just don't know, but they did get it right, and you got the ball back. But now you got to take a knee in that situation just to get out in that tight little area. It makes you kind of nervous. Thank goodness Chance was smart enough to not to nail it in the end zone.
I was thinking the same thing. Were you a little concerned? I mean, did you have to lend your expertise on that call, because the initial signal was touchdown, but then they, to their credit, got together and got it right? I guess kind of the Kenny Stabler rule: if you fumble, the only one who can advance it is the fumbler. That was not the case in that play. But any nerves? Worried about them not getting it right?
I was waiting to see what they happened. What decision they came up with. And of course I was screaming out there, it's 4th down. You can't do. Of not really screaming, but just kind of talking to the official next to me, saying, "Hey, here's the rule. You guys know the." And then they got it right, which was good. And Coach. Brian did a good job of telling Chance, okay, look where we're at.
Yes.
And making sure you don't go into the end zone. You got to stay as tight to the center as you possibly can, and he did that.
And he took it a snap under center, which is rare. I mean, you don't really do that very often.
Yeah, we could in that situation, especially with taking a knee and getting out. Because, it was tight. You don't want to run the ball, so, get a good safety right before the half. But, we've done it. We do work on it every day in practice, in pre-prep about 5 or 10 minutes just to make sure that our quarterbacks can do it. And, so that's something that we don't, shy away from. We just got, if we can do it, if we need to do it, we do it.
Well, Tigers get the win on Saturday, 21-17. We'll talk about the second half. We'll get to your questions. Again, you can chime in. Go to FHSUathletics.com and submit your question. We'll get to it today. And we'll preview Saturday. The Tigers back at home, an afternoon game at home. First afternoon home game of the year. They'll take on the Emporia State Hornets. And we'll have a preview of ESU, who is also 4-4 like the Tigers, as we roll along. Tiger Talk brought to you by Adams Brown. They do more than just run numbers and file tax returns. They work hard to become a strategic ally. Adams Brown, Strategic Allies and CPAs. Check them out, Adams Brown. We'll take a break. More from Tiger Talk here on the Tiger Sports Network, built by Paul Wurtenberger Construction.
Fact: 8th Street Liquor is where good times start. Next fact: 8th Street Liquor has the best selection and prices on beer, liquor, and wine. Okay, I don't want to bore you with all the facts, but the fact of the matter is, you just can't get better than 8th Street Liquor. Yep, 8th Street Liquor, where good times start. That's the fact. Jack? Oh yes, they have plenty of Jack too.
Play action. He's got Butke wide open. He makes the catch at the 10. 5. Touchdown. Fort Hays State. Vashawn Waiters hit a wide open Hunter Butke. The only question was, would he catch it? And it kind of bobbled off his fingertips. But Butke hauls it in and takes it in for the score. His 6th TD catch of the year. And it's 6-0 Tigers with 5:09 to go. Yeah, that was a big play. Tigers' first touchdown after the Jordan Starks interception. We are at the Golden Q, the home of Tiger Talk. Stop on by. They've got the grilled cheeseburger on this Monday. Of course, have their burger of the month going on here to the end of October. They'll have a new one coming up here next week. And, of course, they have different daily food and drink specials. So check them out, the Golden Q. If the game's on, they're open. Tiger Talk also presented by the Hayes Orthopedic Institute. Expertise, technology, and compassion, all right here. The Hayes Orthopedic Institute, they're the official team physicians for Fort Hays State Athletics. I feel like we talk about it every week, but there's Vashawn Waiters, comes in and makes a big play. Of course, scored on the option last week. This time found Hunter Butke. When a guy is that wide open, because, you look up and then you see, there's nobody within 15, 20 yards of Hunter. That might be the most scary thing for everybody, because you can just watch the flight of the ball and you know what's coming. But for a receiver, sometimes those are almost more difficult than if you got a guy draped all over and you got to make a catch in traffic.
They are. It's just that you have time to think about it. And, we always try to tell him not to try to catch it twice, catch it the first time. And he almost
Hunter caught
did.
It maybe the third time.
Maybe the third time, yeah. It is so nerve-wracking as a receiver, but you just got to kind of put yourself in the situation. You got to make that play, and you put a lot of stress on yourself, and sometimes you overthink it, and you try to be too locked in. Sometimes it gets you, but no, he pulled it in. It was a great play by those two.
It was a great play, great touchdown. Kind of got you off and running on that one, and then Chance hitting Manny on the second touchdown. A great job of Manny getting inside position and just kind of holding on to it and giving a nice spot for Chance to lob that ball up to.
Yeah, well, it's probably one of Chance's better throws this year. Really put it where only the receiver could catch and not have to worry about the defender. Right on the money, and a great shot. It's just a play we worked on all week. Kind of knew they would kind of over pursue it, and they did, and were able to get that touchdown.
Yeah, and it was fairly decent coverage. He had a defensive back there, but he did a good job. And we saw that with some of the other guys. It feels like the routes have gotten better. I know that was an issue early on this year, but it feels like the receiving core has gotten a little bit better about running crisper routes, and because of it, they've been able to be a little bit more open or in a better position to make a catch and make a play.
Yeah, they are. And it's just, when you run your routes hard and you know where you're supposed to be, and now you're able to read some coverages and know what spot you're supposed to sit down in or whatever it might be. That makes things so much easier for your quarterback. And he's trying to tell you these things during practice, and we're trying to tell you these things during meetings and stuff. But it ultimately comes down to, on game day, can you do those things and continue running hard? Even though you might not be getting the ball, if you continue to run your route hard, that's going to open up things for everybody else. And it's not being selfish, and that's the main thing about football. You can't be selfish. Even though it's not going to benefit you, you still got to go hard and do your job and do your assignment to benefit those around you.
thought a couple times on, I think maybe in the drive that you scored the ultimate game-winning touchdown, they sent a delay blitz and saw Keelan Chapman make a great read and just take I think it was a linebacker, and just kind of pancake him into the rest of the line, gave Chance that extra time to make a big play downfield that kind of set you up for that game winner.
Yeah, it really did, and Keelan does a good job. I mean, he's a strong kid. He's a physical kid as well, and when he wants to, he can run you over, and he needs to quit trying to jump over people, because I mean that was like a high jump on that one, but he's a hard-nosed kid. He plays hard, and we need to continue to use him in those situations, but he is smart enough to see the blitzes coming and knowing who he needs to block, and when he blocks them, he's pretty physical. Didn't
see much of Adrian Soto. It's just kind of how the game was going, or Keelan had the hot hand and was playing well? Just
kind of the way it was going. Our run game wasn't real solid, in this game, and I wish we could get back to our old ways of being able to run the ball. And sometimes again, it's just coming down to that one guy, or really us not coming off the ball and being physical and aggressive and moving guys. It's more of a stalemate right now than moving, getting to the next level and open up some holes, or maybe a tight end not kicking out, the end as well, and just kind of making a stalemate is there, so that gap's gone. So we just got to become more physical in it, and that's the number one thing. If you can be physical up front, the run game's going to go, and hopefully that starts again this week. You did have a 3rd and 1, I think it was in the first half, and converted. That has been a problem, 3rd and 4th, whatever, but short yardage trying to run for that first down. You were able to at least convert one of those, but I guess you got to start somewhere, and hopefully that's a start. Yeah, it is, and I believe it was Keelan that had it, and I mean, you saw him. He was not going to mess around. He was straight downhill. He was going to be physical and get through it and make sure he got the first down. But sometimes you just test those kids, and you talk to them in practice. Say, here's a situation for you. What are you going to do? And you have to get this no matter what. If there's 5 guys on it, you got to get it. And he was determined to get it, and he got it. Your offensive line is kind of. I mean, it was a battle, some auditions for positions early. You kind of settled on a starting 5. Now you've gone through some injuries. You kind of had a mix and match last week. Looked like you kind of settled on your 5 or 6 for this last game. How did they do? Because I know it sounds crazy, but you insert somebody else who hasn't been there. Just an offensive line is such a feel, and knowing what your guy next to you and both sides are doing and how you're going about blocking. How did they grade out and the challenges they have had? They did okay. It's just still one of those things where it's just you still got a new guy next to you, that really hadn't played a lot, and then, got some young guys on there as well and don't have a lot of playing experience. And really in this game it was just, us getting stalemated, and they were kind of giving us a few different looks, but nothing out of the ordinary that we really haven't seen or talked about. But just like a little different angle on your block, or just being a little bit more physical. But they were really triggering hard, on our run game with safeties and different things like that. So, they did okay. I still think, across the board, offensively and defensively, we're still not playing to the physicality that I want. And once we finally get there, I mean, I think we're going to be hard to stop. I would think that kind of goes in hand in hand. We talk about the lack of creative turnovers. That has something to do with it. Yeah, it does, and it's just young kids. Don't quite have the strength yet. They don't quite have the weight yet. So they're trying to take on blocks, and they're trying to hit these receivers that might be a little bit bigger than they are as well, or tight ends, and even running backs. So it's just getting these kids, more acclimated to the game of football and understanding what they got to do moving forward, to make themselves better football players. And that's weight room, watching what they eat, making sure they're eating the proper things to put on some weight, and making it important, and football needs to be the most important thing, that's on their minds right now. Of course, school too, but if you love football and football is really important, you're going to get your grades and all those things because you have to be eligible to play. So it's just we got to get back and get to work and get stronger. Felt like on that last drive, I mean, you had Okechukwu had a great game. We'll talk about him in a minute. You had Bama in there, but you went a little bit bigger at wide receiver. I know Manny was out with the injury, but it seemed like you got some bigger guys. Is that because of some of the stuff they were doing and some of the size in their secondary? It just felt like one of those games you needed some bigger dudes out there. They're just coming around, like Okechukwu is really coming around, and Bama's starting to come around. I mean, those 2 guys on the outside, those are some really big guys, and then our tight ends aren't small either. And, a little slot position with our ages, Manny and, Schremer playing a little bit of that, and Stapp, the way the things kind of worked out for us, and Josh was playing pretty well, and catching some balls and giving them some fits. So, you go with the hot hand and you go with the guys that you think are going to help you win the ball game. And I hate saying that. I wish they were all come in and just play hard, be the guys all the time. But sometimes games just aren't for some guys, and some games, it's for the others. So you just got to go with the hot hand and who's playing the best.
You mentioned Josh, 9 catches, 148 yards, and I know it was dinged up a little bit and really hadn't been a big factor. But boy, the last 3 games, you're kind of seeing what I know you guys liked about him. Big body, good hands, making some good catches, and he was instrumental. If he didn't have every one of those, you probably don't win on Saturday.
Yeah, we don't. But there's still, a few things in that game that, wish he could have done better. And, he needs to just work on going up and getting the ball. As big and as strong as he is, and even with Bama too, as big as those guys are, if they'll just kind of stop their feet and go up for a ball, we'll get some pass interference calls instead of making those things so difficult. But, Josh is really coming around. He's a first-year guy. He's still trying to figure out what we're doing offensively, but he'll get there. He just needs to continue to play better and play faster each week, and learn to go get a ball and use his body. Use that body, use that speed, and go make some things happen.
Tiger Talk brought to you by the Taco Shop. Dine-in, carry out, or fast delivery, 625-7114, or you can use their handy Taco Shop app. The Taco Shop, you've never had it so good. We'll take another break. More Tiger Talk for the Golden Q next. This is the Tiger Sports Network, built by Paul Wurtenberger Construction.
Ready to discover something new? The next time you're in your car, tune your radio to 94.3 FM.
It's here! It's Hayes' greatest hits.
Love it!
On 1400 KAYS and 94.3 FM. Do you believe in love? Slowly, as I'm
94.3 FM, KAYS. Go ahead, check us out.
Chapman to the right of Fuller. Okechukwu, the lone receiver, left side. Fuller bootleg right, throws the end zone, wide open. Wiltfong, touchdown! Fort Hays State. Hayden Wiltfong, first career touchdown, and the Tigers take the lead with 26 seconds to go. Yeah, big play there. Gave Fort Hays State the lead. They hold on. I think we'll hear the final play, which gets a little nerve-wracking on a Hail Mary jump ball, but the Tigers knock it down and win it on Saturday. We are live at the Golden Q, so stop on by anytime. The game's on. They're open. Got to get to some questions before we take our final break and preview Emporia State. One of them, when you're in punt formation, the advantage of having the punter run to the side rather than just catching and punting the ball. The way, I guess, kind of more of a rugby style than the old straight-on punt.
That's what a lot of people are doing now anyway. NFL, doesn't do that at all. They're not allowed to, but it's just you don't get a lot of pressure, and it gives your cover guys a chance to get downfield and cover a little bit quicker as well. And it also gives your punter more time to kick the ball downfield and hopefully get better kick. We probably do need a few longer kicks out of that, but we're just not quite there yet. But it's all about the not getting pressure, getting your guys downfield to cover so they can't get a return, have to fair catch it.
I thought Sossom was better. He had a 57-yarder. He got a little more distance, a little more height on those kicks, more hang time, I guess, a proper way to say that. But I thought he was a little bit better on Saturday, and that's a good sign.
It is, and again, freshman, true freshman. First time playing American football, and he's used to Australian football, and he's just trying to figure how this whole thing works and understanding pressure, catching snaps, and those things. But, week in and week out, he's getting better and better. So, as long as he continues to do what he's doing, his punts are getting longer there. He are getting deeper. I just think he's starting to feel comfortable now, finally.
One of them talks about some of the players that didn't make the trip to Warrensburg due to injuries and kind of a timeline, and ask about Manny and Budke, which you just discussed. I guess Keon Clark would be the most notable. I know he's a bit dinged up right now.
He is, and hopefully that's just a 1 to 2 week thing, and then he's got looked at last week. And a lot of the things that we do are just for player safety as well. You don't want to put them in when they're not ready and really end up having something terrible happen to them as well. So, if they're too bad or we feel like that they're not able to go, we're not going to play the young man just to make sure that he's okay. And, we might get a few back this week. Hopefully Keon is one of those guys we get back. Braxton Roth, another kid that we hopefully get back this week too. But, the other ones, it's probably going to be another couple weeks or it might be the rest of the year. But I hope not. But it really does seem like the injury bug has hit us, and we got a lot of guys that are out right now. But when you look at it, positively, we're getting some young guys some reps and getting them ready for the future as well.
Last question, Northwest Kearney this Saturday up in Kearney, basically in all likelihood deciding who wins the MIAA championship. I'm not going to ask you who you like, but do you have who do you think might win in that game?
I don't know. I hate saying it, but you're probably not supposed to be friends with other people in the conference, but I love Coach Wright. I love Coach Lynn. You know, we bounce a lot of things off of each other, and we talk, you know, once every 2 weeks or something, you know, just to kind of go through things and how things are going and how you feeling. And I know Northwest can win this game if they can stop TJ Davis. You know, if they can stop the quarterback, you know, not give up the big play defensively, you know, I think they got a good chance to win that ball game. I think with their D-line and the things that they do defensively, they got a good chance to do that. But, you know, if TJ's on fire and, you know, the receipt, and they can get some play action and get some deep balls on him, you know, they got a good chance to win it. So it's going to be a battle. You know, 2 years ago, 2019, Kearney got all over them and won that ball game. So really, to me, it's a toss-up. I mean, two teams going at it. If Kearney wins, at least we can say we beat the MIAA Conference champs.
There you go. That'll be an interesting one on Saturday. Tiger Talk brought to you by BTI, Great Bend, Buckland, Greensburg, Hoxie, Ness City, and Pratt. Your John Deere dealers, BTI, our family in partnership with your family. Need to squeeze in our final break. We'll have a quick preview of Emporia State right after this here on the Tiger Sports Network, built by Paul Wertenberger Construction.
That was another legend on 99 KZ Country. And yes, before that, we had a brand new artist. Your home for today's stars and the legends. We play real country. I'm Teresa Trapp. Weather, news, sports, it's all here. We're on Facebook, and there is a listen live link at hayespost.com. Dial us in on your radio at 99.5 FM. KHAZ, real country. 99 KZ Country.
Here we go. 3 receivers right, 1 left. Here's your ball game. 21-17 Tigers. 6 seconds left. Tweehouse takes the snap. 3 down linemen for the Tigers. Tweehouse stepping up. He heaves it toward the end zone. He's got a couple of men down there. It's batted down. It's over. Fort Hays State has won it. The Tigers knock it away in the end zone. And Fort Hays State ends their 2-game skid with a gutsy win here in Warrensburg. 21-17 the final. Welcome back to Tiger Talk, our final segment. Tigers home this Saturday, Emporia State. They're 4-4. I'm sure they feel a lot like you. They probably feel there's about a handful of games. They could easily have 6 or 7 wins, but it's not the case. But a good team, good offense. Boy, Gleason's good. They have the best passing attack in the MIAA.
No, he's phenomenal. Great left-hander. He knows well, and they do a good job of, you know, quick tempo. I mean, they get to the ball quick, and they run a lot of plays, you know, offensively, and they spread you out quite a bit, and they'll try to run the ball, and then they'll throw the ball out of it as well. I mean, they got a good offense, and it's when it's clicking, it's clicking.
You mentioned a left-hander, and it sounds crazy, but how does that affect a defensive back? How does it affect coverage, and just how you go about it with the guy with the lefty out there? You don't see a lot of them.
No, you don't, and it's. I don't know. I think you just got to kind of take it the way you take a right hander. You know, you see it so much that you still got your read sides, and you know, with the way their formations are set up, you just build everything off of that as well, and just try to see, you know, where he's going to throw the ball more to, and where his eyes are at. So his eyes might change a little bit differently than the right-handed quarterback, but you know, he can run. You know, he's a tremendous athlete. Got a strong arm, and you know, he can make things happen with his feet too.
Defensively, I mean, they've been kind of opportunistic. They can get some pressure, they get some sacks. What do they do well? What do you have to do offensively to try to counter them? Just
different looks. You know, they give you so many different looks. You got a 3 down front, you know, with 3 linebackers, and you know, sometimes those linebackers are in different areas, and they got a lot of, you know, secondary guys on the field, and just putting them in different spots too. But when it all said and done, it's almost the same, but it's just the alignments and the looks just kind of give you some trouble. Are they playing man? Are they playing, you know, cover 3, or are they playing quarter? So it's just something that we're going to really lock in on, and you know, be ready for their blitzes as well, because they're going to bring some pressure. All
right, sounds good, Coach. As always, we appreciate it. Have a great week of practice. We'll see you for a 1 o'clock kick Saturday afternoon.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Gerard. Appreciate you.
UN's head coach Chris Brown. Again, that'll be a 1 o'clock kick, a little bit earlier than a normal afternoon game. We'll be on the air at noon with the Auto World pregame show over on Tiger Radio Mix 103 and the Tiger Sports Network. Tiger Talk brought to you by Golden Bell Bank of Hayes and Ellis, Adams Brown, the Taco Shop, BTI, Hayes Orthopedic Institute, G&L Tire Automotive, and of course we're live at the Golden Q. If the game's on, they're open. Back here next Monday, 12:15. See you then. For the coach, Gerard Wellbrock. So long, everyone.